Hi, it is now the second day of my castle week, which means that I'm in the Eifel Mountains again. Just like the last time, I'm going to show you around and tell you about the history of this place and also why I think it's really interesting. The first thing that I would like to show you over here is this stone wall. This stone that you can see over here is called Schiefer. It has got this shape which you call geriffelt in German. And it is shaped this way because it was on the bottom of the ocean a long time ago until it turned into stone. And now we can see some different layers over here. And I can also demonstrate you that it is really easy to break apart. This is a piece of the Schiefer stone. You can see it a lot on roofs in these parts, and it's also very easy to break. As you can see, it falls apart very easily. This castle was built from 1095 to 1105, and unlike the castle from yesterday, you can already see it is very popular and very well known. Behind me you can see a village. And unfortunately you can also hear a lot of sounds from construction work going on down here. A couple of years ago there has been a really bad flood over here. They destroyed everything that was next to the river, so they are rebuilding a lot of things. Over here we can see the remains of the well. As you can see, it used to be 29 meters deep. But as you can see, it's really deep, and it must have been really scary to the children living on this castle, if there have been any. I don't know if they actually went to get water or how much they were around this castle, but I just think it would have been really scary to me as a kid, especially in the Middle Ages when they didn't have anything that protected you or prevented you from falling down there. And if you fell down, you would inevitably die. So that would be really scary to me. Over here, we are entering the restricted part of the castle, which I can understand on one hand, but on the other hand I think it's a real pity. This means that you can't enter it after nightfall. Fortunately for me it's not nightfall yet and it's not dark, so I can still enter it. This mountain over there is called the Teufelsloch, which means Devil's Hole, and as you can see there is a hole in the peak which is even big enough in order for you to stand up in it, and you can also go in there. At least you used to be able, I'm not sure if you can do that anymore. But it is called that way because people used to believe that the devil put his finger through there. Hallo? Okay, we are now in the core part of the castle, and as you can see it is very ruinous, and there are several reasons why, but the most significant one is that it was sieged for 9 months until it was eventually occupied by French troops in 1690. The French kept the castle for about 7 years until they moved out just to come back 4 years later and retake it. 5 years later, in 1706, the troops of the electorate of Cologne took the castle and used it as a base to unsettle the area, which eventually led to the castle to be blown up. The people that lived in this area and that were terrorized by the electorate troops eventually asked for help and then blew up this castle. Over here we have the Grey Tower, in which they stored gunpowder and guns. If we look at the inside, we can see that one half is missing. Now we have the view into the valley over here, and back then there used to be a basement down here. One thing that I forgot to mention is that during the restoration works, the helicopter that transported the materials actually crashed and caused the pilot to die. Right next to the Grey Tower we have the old elaborate chapel, which was really special back then because it had a three-naved architecture. There used to be an upper floor for the lords of the castle, but ordinary folk had to come down in the lower level. You can also really see the structure of the Schiefer stones that I've shown you in the beginning over here. Another interesting fact is that the keep was used as a prison by the electorate of Cologne. Over here you can see the location where it was supposed to be. Now I am at the pavilion where the keep once used to be. Down here you can see the construction work going on again. Either on this or that mountain on the very back. I have once spent a night in a little mountain hut. Even though there's not that much left of the castle nowadays, it still used to be the cultural and intellectual center of the region for a very long time. And nowadays it's still really interesting to come here, knowing the history of this place and just imagining how it must have been over here. In that sense I'm going to call it for the day, but not for the week, because tomorrow is day 3 of my castle week, which means that I'm going to another castle and I'm going to show you around again. So you should stay curious for that. I'm also staying curious. In that sense, until tomorrow.